you saw your role as not only a journalist but an activist.
Well, it was less so at Newsweek. I saw my role at the Afro-American, for example. One instance in which I almost got shot covering a trial in Florida. I mean,
What happened?
Well, I was covering a story. 9 white guys had kidnapped a guy named Jesse Woods, a black guy, and taken him across the river and hanged him by his feet. And
Why?
Because he was there. Because he was there. And so they hanged him. And he managed to get loose and swam back across the river. I went down to cover the trial for the Afro-American. And they ran the trial for 2 days, really, for my benefit, to be honest about it, for my benefit. And the defense attorney, asked for a directed verdict and got it, which was a charge of dismissed a charge. And so Jesse Woods had been in jail all this time. The white guys had been roaming the streets.
Now, how did Jessie end up in jail? I mean...
Okay, that's what I went to the judge about. I said, how does Jesse Woods wind up in jail? And I'm cutting a story long short. He wound up saying to me, okay, you want to go and interview Jesse Woods, do you? And I said, yes, sir. I want to know why he's in jail. And I, went through the Fifth Amendment due process and all that business. And so he says, all right. He says, call Spike over here. And Spike was about 6'6", this big around, had the biggest 45 on his hip I had since seen. And Spike took me over to the jail. And I went up and to interview Jesse Woods. And the jailer, and I'm happy for this, that he was a smaller guy. But the jailer says, okay, he says, now, you listen, and I'm going to call Jesse's name, and you, he called him, he says, Jesse, you don't want to, this boy from Baltimore, you don't want to be interviewed by him, do you? And Jesse said, no. And I said, I didn't hear anything. And he says, all right, Jesse, he says, you yell out now. He says, now, you don't want to be interviewed by this boy, do you? And Jesse said, no. And I said, I still can't hear him. So he says, all right, I'm going to walk down to Jesse's cell. And he opened the cell block and walked down there. And he says, all right now, Jesse, you yell out loud so he can hear you. And Jesse said, no. And he turned around, the jailer turned around, and there I am. He says, what are you doing down here? I said, well, I came down to interview Jesse. He said, and so he gets very excited and doesn't want me to. He says, now don't you hurt Jesse. And I said, okay, I won't hurt him. What he meant was, don't ask him anything about where he's going. Because in those days, we're talking 1957, in those days, a guy who had been kidnapped, as Jesse was, is probably going to lose his life in this process. But anyway, we asked him some questions, and finally he says, I said, Jesse, tell me about your mother and dad. and so forth, and, you know, mundane questions. And I said, finally, I asked him, I said, now, Jessie, where are you going when you get out of here? Oh, boy, that set things off. Old Spike reached for his gun and aimed the .45 at me, and I grabbed the jailer, who I'm happy to say was a smaller man, and I grabbed him and held him in between us and hid behind this jailer while the guy's Spike is trying to shoot me. And I get out of the cell block and go up and at every, this was on the second floor, and as I went down and turned, at every step I took, I could hear the shot. I thought I could hear the shot, that I'm being shot, you know.
Just for asking the question. Just for asking the question that he told you not to ask.
Yes. 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 Now, in that situation, I was an activist, okay, because I pursued the matter and wrote some cards and whatever and asked people. I went around to 10 families and asked them to, you know, send me the card. I addressed it to myself and all that, and asked them to let me know whether Jessie is safe or not, okay? And only one person would take the card. But anyway, Jessie did. They put him on a freight train for Detroit or Cleveland, one of those places in the north.